Hello. Hopefully all the audio and everything's okay, because I have not checked it. So, here we are back again. I'm not sure how much of this painting is still published online. But yeah, this is a painting of a spaceship interior, and thought I'd do maybe half an hour to an hour's work on it today. And yeah, I'm very happy with how it's going so far. A lot of this has been painted recently as far as the background and such. It's all just started out from this painting of this painting that I really like that I did in magma. Kind of like the centerpiece of a spaceship deck, isn't it? Like where they all meet and, you know, discuss or whatever and look at the holograms. But I was really happy with how I got the soupy reflections to look. The brushwork is almost completely invisible on here. It's just I feel like I really did as good as I probably possibly could have done on these reflections. I think these are some of the best reflections I've ever painted by far. And I like the green glass stone too. And the floor is kind of like a giant golf ball, you know, it's got lots of divots in. They're more hexagonal than in a golf ball, but it's kind of a golf ball type floor. And I've gone through a few iterations of the actual composition itself. You can see all the way from the very beginning, and you can see how faint it looks back here. I've pumped up the saturation and the contrast quite a bit as we've gone through. You can just see how this is slowly being, you know, put together. This is as soon as the background comes in, that's within like the recent last couple of weeks. You see I had a different arrangement of the other machines here too, which I didn't really like. Felt kind of unbalanced. Here's the current layout that we've got. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm just going to be showing you what it looks like to speed paint in this way. First thing I want to do is move this machine to be in the right space. I was thinking about putting it to the side and putting a cabinet next to it, but I'm not thinking about that anymore. First I'm going to make a new layer actually, just to separate what we do today from what we've done in the past, so we keep those nice iterations. Okay, then I'm just going to roughly select this. Doesn't have to be very precise. This is speed painting, so we're in the very rough stages. I'll put it roughly where it looks like it belongs, and we could line that up with the grid and probably should, but I'm just going to do it by eye for now. It's going to get repainted so much anyway. Onto the main brush. So yeah, this is actually my first time I've worked on laugh arts in a little while. So just trying to shake the rust off a little bit mainly. There's a lot of other stuff in my life that I have to get right, you know, in my routine kind of thing, before I can kind of get onto the more advanced stuff, like trying to run a YouTube channel and do streams at the same time. But here I'm getting rid of that shape of the floor. I've got an idea to make the floor round. And the issue that I have in my head lately with this painting is the connection between this wall here and the actual floor, you know. I would kind of like the floor to be free floating, and then when the ship takes a big jolt or rocks, right, the floor would kind of like a gimbal stabilize that. So I'm not sure. I might try and put like a rubber membrane between the floor and the wall to suggest that the floor can kind of move around on its own. Which would make the guardrails, like you see behind this machine, there's a bit of a guardrail, make them very important. Also, my streams are way higher quality now. They were super blurry before because I was trying to zoom in too much. And there is a reason to zoom in loads. It's because I'm still on the fence about it, but I like to make it so my graphics tablet only control a tiny portion in the middle of my monitor, and it just helps with hand cramp, because I'm often drawing quite small details, so just make the space that the tablet controls smaller, and all of a sudden my hand has to make bigger movements, which is less hand cramp, you know, less trying to make tiny little, you know, loads of tiny brush strokes. Just wrecks your car, falls instantly. So I don't know. I just have to draw more zoomed in now, I suppose. So yeah, and like I said, this is all speed painting. This is all done with a brush. Even this center console, which, like I said, was actually painted in Magma online with other people at the same time painting around me, which is incredibly fun and satisfying. I feel like cooperative painting is I've said this before, but I think that it truly is the future. However, this is not cooperative anymore. This is just me using my imagination and trying to dream up kind of what, you know, should be around this console that I've painted. See, these are kind of going to be steps here leading up. I have a problem with making my images too symmetrical, and I like to try to make them slightly unsymmetrical, because I think if someone was standing and taking a picture with a camera, very unlikely, and that's what I'm going for, it's very unlikely that they would take something that would line up perfectly with a grid. But I don't know, I just struggle to make it, you know, all just rotated slightly, or, you know, off kilter very slightly. It just doesn't, you know what I mean? I always end up trying to correct it because there's always some kind of discrepancy. Something looks slightly bigger or warped that would be easier to fix if everything was perfectly symmetrical. Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure whether this machine here that I'm working on, maybe I'm too zoomed out now because I was only, I don't know what to do with the zoom, honestly. But yeah, maybe this, I think this machine might end up being, excuse me, might end up being this machine, which I also painted in Magma. This was one of the first, and boy, woohoo, there's some nice reflections on this one too. Not to toot my own horn or whatever, but I think this thing ended up looking so. You can see the pixel size too. It was actually painted at this rough pixel size. Yeah, I was very proud of this one as well, especially for the materials and the reflections. So yeah, that one might end up being imported into the image directly, and this one I think almost definitely is. This one again, I was very happy with. Yeah, just all these super reflections in here I love, and I love how I ended up designing these handles here. So I really want to import this other piece that I'm very proud of. I want to import that directly into here, and you can see it's poster child right there. It's filling. So yeah, what do we do? How do we connect the floor to the walls is our main dilemma right now, really. That and the design of some of these machines that are going around it, and the design of the room in general, of course. Like I said, my main focus, how am I connecting this floor to the wall? I think it does look a bit nicer now that it's obviously that doesn't look amazing because there were some other changes that were made. Let me zoom it in for you guys. Yeah, I think it does look a bit nicer now that it's a bit more round. It really does look a bit golf ball like, which is it's not what I'm going for, but it is the kind of material I'm going for, because I feel like this ceramic floor would be extremely hard and hard to scratch, but all the divots, if anyone's boots are like you know, they've been out in the rain or whatever, the water would go into them. I'm always just thinking about the practicalities of the stuff I design for some reason. Everything's got to have some kind of reason, which is actually, it does not help me, because it stifles your kind of license to be creative when you have to think of a reason for everything. But that's just how my brain works. Okay. Make sure the floor continues through this clear dome. Yeah, there's a lot of different interesting materials here. There's not very many noisy and texture-filled materials. Most of them are smooth and glossy, and have many reflections. And many of the reflections aren't even represented in the scene, but you get away with them, right? Video games get away with that all the time. You know, you look at something in a video game sometimes and it's reflecting outdoors when it's actually indoors, but it still looks reflective, right? And that's kind of the philosophy I work off of too. This was painted completely in its abstract before I brought it into this scene. And so its reflections do not match the environment at all. I've kind of retrofitted it a tiny bit. Like you see, I put a big purple reflection here when I originally painted it, and I've tried to match that with a purple machine on this side. So maybe it's kind of roughly reflecting that, but it's as deep as it goes. What do we work on next then? Do I need... See, like I said, I was thinking of putting like a rubber membrane, which would be a dark line between the floor and the walls, because that would be what, you know, gets squeezed and such as the floor moves around. I'm not sure anymore, not so sure. Excuse me. Sorry, all of the I noticed today all of the YouTube live streaming face has kind of changed. Can't see where the timer is, so there it is. Yeah, we've been going for about 11 minutes. And like I said, I was only planning on going half an hour minimum today. Between half an hour and 90 minutes is what I like to think about for my streams currently, while I'm not like super... Hey, that's the picture of the... popped up then. That was the image that we're outgrowing this painting from. What was I saying? Yeah, in these early stages, it's hard for me to get myself to actually stream like us all, so... Stream for a short amount of time really helps me, and also just kind of speaking more than painting, I feel like, which I might always do. I'm not sure if I'll always spend 90% of my time streaming just talking, because I don't know how much the urgency for completed paintings will progress over time. I'm really not sure, but obviously if I speak less and paint more, then that's more completed paintings. But I enjoy talking more than painting, I suppose. Like I said, kind of like to treat these streams as a bit more like a diary, and than actually being about paintings. However, some paintings like this one I'm extremely excited for and just can't wait to finish. I mean, just imagine, I just can't wait to see this, you know, fully grown into a finished painting. I think it's really going to look like impressive, honestly, just with how well the materials and the set design has gone quite nicely too, considering how little work has been done on it so far. Yeah, there's a lot of things that just conflict with me in my own head on priority wise. You know, should the priority be to finish painting? Should the priority be to do longer streams, or should my priority to be doing shorter streams and slowly drip feed myself so I get more and more used to the streams and can have more time to shake the rust off? It's all these decisions that I struggle with. I guess I want to go with like this circle pattern here, but not sure if we'll keep that. And of course on the floor, I've spent hours doing these dots, you know, but I might just copy and paste them now, because, you know, why not? Well, there are reasons why not, but they're very subtle. Right, let's see how it looks. Let's copy and paste. You know? Make it a tiny bit bigger. I think I can actually like press certain keys to... Yeah, I can rotate it. But there's also... I'm sure there's one that like stretches it out unevenly here on Krita, but yeah, we'll just try that. I'll try and loosely line it up. So there you go, that's what our first patch will look like. I could get away with that easily, you see. And then just edit it and paint over it to make it fit together. You see how much that changes this painting as well, because this goes from being white to being, you know, overall quite a bit of a darker value. That's going to change the painting quite a bit, and might change how we need to do the dynamics of the brightness of the background especially. So yeah, I think we should focus on growing this floor out right now. It's gonna make, every time I copy and paste it makes loads of layers, but we can handle that. And also some of it's going to be kind of in shade, if that makes sense, when I don't want it to be. There's going to be a lot of editing after we copy and paste this floor, which is one of the caveats. It looks like I didn't actually copy and paste anything there. Yeah, I was on the wrong layer. I need to merge down every time I do this. Go back to selecting. Just gonna select that with the mouse. Why not? Select that little bit of ground. Copy and paste it. Move it here, and we can't mess this up because where I'm moving these parts of the floor, it was just white paint anyway, right? So can't hurt to experiment, you see. Yeah, it fools me. As soon as I zoom out, that fools me. It looks completely normal. The only thing that doesn't look normal is the fact that it's too bright. Because there's a shadow, the darkness. You see how it's bright here and then it's dark here. That's kind of it's a mix of the shadow and mostly the reflection from this. So that should actually be like a reflected shape of that. I can try and fix some of that now, just to play with it and see what that feels like. I can grab some of the light areas, and it's really in the areas around each of these domes that should be brighter and not being darkened down, so I can sort of add some of this light back in here. Might need me to maybe I should be doing this with an airbrush rather than my main brush, or I might need to come back with the airbrush later. But you see the kind of effect that we're going for here. Trying to just make it lighter by making the outsides lighter, but the divots aren't going to get that same sort of attention. And there's going to be patterns within that, like some parts are going to be brighter than others. And figuring that out is not completely random and completely trial and error, because obviously I have experience, but it's pretty close to that. Just painting stuff on and seeing what works and what doesn't, and deleting what doesn't by overpainting it with what does. Remember to sit up straight as well. Oh, maybe I'll get a new microphone at some point as well, because I'm currently just using this I can't show you it, but little Samsung Go mic, and it's done me well over the years, but could do with being swapped out. Okay. You see, that doesn't look great in my opinion. I'm going to try to blur it in and make it look a little bit better. And I think the dark spots might have to be made a little bit darker. The blur brush is helping a lot though. Just knocking off some of that contrast. Still looks a bit too blurry though. It looked too blurry before I blur brushed it. Ironically now it looks kind of less blurry, but you're just changing the way in which it is, I suppose. Now I'm talking rubbish. Talking a load of rubbish. I'm going to make these a little bit darker in there. I don't know. I think because I haven't painted this pattern in a while, I'm kind of struggling with it now, admittedly. Which is what I mean. I've just got to kind of get my bearings in and remember, you know, how to paint this pattern. Often starts off with just lots of circles, it seems. Then I kind of work on mainly the edges of those circles. I struggle a lot with painting these kind of mathematical patterns. I have the same struggle with scales, even though they're a bit more organic, and same struggles with some types of armor. You know, a lot of people struggle with chainmail for these sorts of reasons, I feel like. And it's because it's this repeating pattern that has to be very geometrically precise, you know, it's very repeating like a brick pattern. But when we paint, you know, there's all these sorts of undulations, and you know, as if when you paint naturally, it is almost as if you painted something that is proportionally correct, but someone's come in and liquefied it. That's what it looks like when you paint naturally. It looks like something that's been kind of warped, liquefied a bit. Some bits are too small there. You know what I mean? It's kind of a little bit stretched and stuff. Or at least that's how I paint when I naturally paint. But you kind of have to be superhuman to do a speed painting such as this and not have small warpings, you know, and non-conformities in your painting. To paint something that is completely mathematically accurate, you know, geometrically, in a speed painting approach where you're literally just going straight paint onto page, you know, to me that would be quite impressive. I don't know if that is possible from a human, honestly, without it being a very, you know, specific selected subject. Of course, some subjects are easier than others. It's just the way it is. Sometimes I wish it wasn't, and all subjects were equally challenging, but it's not like that. Okay, so I've managed to patch the floor up a tiny bit. I really don't feel like I've gotten what I wanted though. The reflection, honestly, we need to make the reflections something like that shape. So we need to cut off all of this that looks dark here and make it brighter. Could just glaze over it. Should we just try glazing over it? It's really cheeky, but let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. And then we can deal with the contrast later. Because you see, glazing over it has made it much less contrast because it's made the dark spots too light. You know, if I could glaze over only the light spots, like probably can, I just don't know how. I'm sure you can do it with the computer though somehow. But for now, what we've got is the ability to go back and bring that contrast back. We can either use the filters, or we can just go back and paint them back in again, which is probably what I do more often than anything. I'm just using the airbrush to do that too. It's got soft edges. Alright, that's kind of worked. You know, which is more efficient? It's always the question. Yeah, I'm liking how the floor looks. You see how I zoom out so much so often? That's another reason I have my streams zoomed in before, but like I say, zoom them in and then they're really blurry. I think for 90% of this stream, everything's been caught a lot more though, because when I was doing my streams quite zoomed in, not only were they super blurry, but things just weren't being captured, or I was painting off screen a lot. Right, let's try copy these this time instead, because these are brighter. I don't want to rotate them, although I am tempted. I'm gonna put them there, and I'm gonna rub part of them out like that. Kind of blend them in. See, that's the sort of brightness it probably should be. Anywhere where there's not that reflection. And that is the kind of brightness we see like here, but here obviously it's much more worked on this. Especially here, you can even see like the little these little reflections at the bottom of each kind of cup shape, and I think that's kind of the detail and the level of believability that I want for all of it. But of course, not all of it is that believable. Here it gets quite believable again, I feel like, right close to the machine, because that's kind of where I've worked on them. It's just a scale of how much time I've spent on each part, really. Okay, then let's copy some more flooring. I'm gonna grab that piece. I'm gonna stick it there. Excuse me. Yeah, I do wonder how much time this is going to save us kind of using this digital trick. Because I very rarely use digital editing like this, I very rarely copy and paste stuff because I have it in my head that painting everything uniquely makes it more unique, right? So once I start copy and pasting stuff, copy and pasting the floor, that inevitably makes the floor look more boring because all of it looks the same. But I don't know, this, you know, this is only very crude, and I'm going to be painting over a lot of it again anyway, and you know, it's the floor at the end of the day, so just a bit of a, a bit of a stickler for practices that maybe don't help me sometimes, just in the name of like purity, you know. So yeah, that's what we've got so far. It looks a lot better than when we started the stream already. You can see how fast things move in these early stages of a speed painting. And that eventually dissolves into diminishing returns, you know, once I'm like, you know, 15-20 hours into this piece, however long it's going to end up being to complete, the changes I'm making are going to be much more subtle and have or hopefully will be much more subtle, because making big changes that late into the piece is difficult and not a good thing. But you know, that's why I struggle to finish paintings as well sometimes. It's because it becomes, you know, as each change becomes more subtle and you need to make a larger quantity of changes, by definition it becomes more tedious, right? The more tedious it is, the more difficult it is for me to do, and so I end up with a lot of paintings that are about 90-95% finished and just don't manage to finish them because it's too boring to paint on a painting that's already almost finished, yeah, quite frankly. You know, I'm glad I did stream today though. Let me shake the rust off a bit. And I like this new format, and I like it zoomed out. I love this short stream format. I'm a bit caught between two worlds with the short streams and the vertical streams and the horizontal streams. Because I really like these vertical streams, but obviously we are on YouTube. A lot of people don't like them as well. And I think the horizontal streams probably do better once you've got a bigger audience. It's not like these vertical streams that happen with my small audience. Some of them get a few views, like 11, after the fact, after they've been recorded. But it's not like it's showing anyone this while I'm streaming. So I just like it though. I just like the simplicity of the vertical streams, the way I've got them set up. The horizontal ones, I've got like one or two more things on screen. So yeah, you can do both. You can stream both at the same time. Maybe I'll end up doing that. But for now, I'm just streaming to get used to it. So yeah, forever a beginner. All right. Well, that was like almost 30 minutes, and I feel quite fulfilled by that. I don't want to push it any further and fatigue myself. This was just to shake the rust off. And you know, I can do whatever I want. No one's watching anyway, right? So yeah, Christmas is coming up too, so I'll probably I can see myself probably getting to a point where I will do a stream nearly every day during that period while I'm off. Obviously I'll be doing stuff with family as well, but I think I'm trying to show, and I've got such a good video on the way. I've got such an amazing video on the way that I've been trying to re-record, you know, and I did a great recording of it and got partway through editing it, maybe a quarter through editing it, and then realised it's super blurry. Like, a lot of my content just suffered from blurriness, so I need to re-record that, but it takes a lot of energy from myself to record a video. Maybe I can show the people, all of the millions of people watching this, what the thumbnail looks like for it. I've tried it so many times that I've got a few thumbnails, because the thumbnails are from, you know, the things I've been doing. But yeah, this is the thumbnail, and I just think it's gonna work well. I really like how this thumbnail looks, and I like how the video goes. It's and obviously, like I said, I've got a few iterations of this thumbnail to choose between. I think I'm gonna go with this one. That was my latest one that I actually painted and recorded, and then it turned out the recording was a bit blurry, so scrapping that whole recording and doing it again. But you know, practice is practice. So I can't wait to get this video released, and that might draw in a couple of views. I really think this thumbnail will draw in some clicks, especially the big gold play button in the middle and the cheeky little icon on the side. But yeah, like I said, this is more like a diary for me. These little streams. But hopefully this one can be good quality, and I'll leave it up, because half the streams I make as well, I just end up privatizing because I don't like them. Slowly getting better at them, but I have to do a lot of them to improve. So yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling on, and I won't be streaming over the next couple of days because I'll be at work. But I most likely will be over Christmas time, and also I'll probably publish that video over Christmas time too. I just need to find that perfect morning where I've got the energy to record it again, the 4th time. So yeah, I'm gonna sign out. Bye bye.